Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Future of Joshi series here on the YouTube channel. I am your host, as always, Scott E. And this week, we are talking about the breakout twins of Stardom, Rina and Hina, talking their 2025s, which have been nothing short of incredible. And I want to double down here. I want to double down here. I want to say that the booking and the positioning of both Rina and Hina have actually been the best thing Stardom has done all year long. Even more so than pushing Saya Kamatani, more than anything else, because what we have seen is both Rina and Hina step up in major ways and prove that not only are they the future of this company, but they are ready to be the present. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here. I was trying all week to think what video makes the most sense. We're probably going to get a tag league final review over the weekend. I'll put that together, but I wanted something, after the Joshi Weekly video a week ago. I've been waiting. I have so much plans for the end of the year, but we got to fill in the gaps before that. And this is, me turning back the curtain, kind of giving you the thought process. And I thought to myself, I've loved Rina's year. That's my favorite wrestler in Stardom. I've loved Hina's year. She showed that she is as good as her sisters, if not ready to be a completely different wrestler from each of them. And then I said to myself, this is to me been the story of the year for Stardom. Anytime these two have stepped up into a big opportunity, they have delivered. So let's dive into it. Let's look at what their years have been and really showcase two of what I think have been the most impressive wrestlers in all of Stardom. For me, and many of the times when it comes to their shows, I'm looking to see what Rina and Hina are doing. Hina, of course, had the Future of Stardom championship run, and Rina did a little bit of everything along the way. So let's get to it. Let's dive into Future of Joshi episode 3. Rina and Hina, the breakout twins of Stardom. And all, of course, starts with just their overall years. Like I said, we saw at the very start of this year, Stardom put Rina in the opportunity to shine, right? We started to see it last year between the Future of Stardom Championship and the New Blood Tag Team Championships, right? A double champion and really, really running things, running the New Blood show. And what we saw this year was her kind of pass that mantle over to someone like Hina while also still being part of those shows and many times being the best part of those shows. But stepping into the limelight, stepping into the main event, whether it was a tournament, whether it was a big championship match, this was Rena's year. And myself and many others will talk about the Starlight Kid match and how much that showcase like this should be your next Wonder of Stardom champion. And while that didn't play out that way, I think it's very clear that it's imminent, like her rise to the top is imminent. And the same should go for Hina. Hina always was the third sister, right? In the conversation. It was always Hana and Rina, have this bright future. We'll see with Hina. I think Hina shut down any doubter that was left this year with what she did with the Future of Stardom Championship. Now that, we've gone past the stuff with, she's mostly past school stuff and she's around and wrestling as much as she can be. She's a different wrestler from those two. She has a different confidence about her, one that during her Future of Stardom title reign was compared very much to that of Momo Watanabe when she was 18 and running the Wonder of Stardom title picture years ago. And I think the beauty of what these two have done is they're so different, but they're always connected, right? They're the twins after all. And I think when you look at Stardom's future, right? I feel like I talk about the future of all these companies so much. It's these two. It is these two. Both of them 18 years old, of course. And I think they have the brightest future out of anyone in Stardom. Anyone. That includes the likes of even Avzumi and Suzu and Starlight Kid, that group that for so long were okay, they're next up, they're next up. I think these two are gonna run things. You know, Rina can be that top heel, Hina can be that top face. And these two are gonna be rivals. These two are gonna be each other's rivals. They're gonna tell stories that no one else can tell with one another. I have all the confidence in the world in what they've done this year, and it's why I want to take us back. I want to take us down the journeys of each of their runs and appreciate what they've put together. So we're going to start off with Rina. Like I said, my favorite wrestler in all of Stardom, been that way for quite some time. Her year started as strong as possible, as impactful as possible, right? And in a way that I think still connects with me and many others. It's always good to see these three together, right? It doesn't happen a lot, but they do team up as a trio. Hina, Rina, and of course their older sister Hanan. These three have been maybe the most pushed out of anyone not named Saya Kamatani in Stardom over the past 2 years. Like there is a clear, evident push to make these three a major part of the future. I think many believes Hanan's your next Wonder Stardom champion. Rina appeared in multiple finals, and Hina elevated herself in a way that makes her undeniable now moving forward as well. That's something that is an old school Stardom trait. Is something like the future Stardom title reign that Hina had of. Let's see what you got. Let's put you into the fire. Let's put you into the fire with a championship that is going to have you wrestle, people with not as much experience as you, and let's see if you can elevate them, elevate the title, elevate the matches. That's all Hina did. That's what Rina did with the run, and that's what Hanan did with the run. I think out of the future Stardom Championship reigns that these three had, Rina's the one that has the best one. I think that's undeniably the best future Stardom title reign to date. Hell, when she had her reign and when it ended, I said it surpassed Hanan's, who had the previous best. I don't know if I'm prepared to say Hina's outdid Rina's, but I do think it also outdid Hanan's with what she was able to accomplish and the way she carried herself and so much more. And we're going to look at the tournaments. We're going to look at everything these three did or not three. Sorry, Hanan is of course, still a future key member of Joshi and Stardom as a whole, but specifically the twins. So, like I said, we're starting with Rina here, and it all starts with that Wonder Stardom Championship match in her hometown, Path of Thunder, right? That match was made to be Rina's moment. That match was made to be a match that you were never going to forget. At least to me, that's what it was. You put her in her own town. You put her first big championship match in Tochigi at Path of Thunder, Starlight Kid's first defense, by the way, and you put on a legitimate classic, a legitimate match that I think is one of the very best that I've seen, one of the very best Wonder or Stardom championship matches. This match has an 8.95 on Cage Match, 4.5 from Wrestling Observer Newsletter. It's a 5. To me, it's a 5. It is one of the best matches of the year, and perhaps the most emotional I have been watching a match all year long. I've had some emotional matches. It's between this, Mayu, and Io, in terms of emotions. And I feel like the best matches are the ones that make you feel. The best matches are the ones that allow you to connect in a way that other wrestling just doesn't. And seeing Rina step into the ring with the words Hana behind her, doing her hair like Hana Kimura did, but also just recognizing the hometown aspect and the excitement that comes with this is her first ever big title match. Everything coming all together, and then the performance, the accomplishment in that performance. You know, for many people, maybe all of that in one can make you slip up, make you struggle a bit, right? There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of eyes on you. But what Rina did was go out there and have the best performance of her career. Have the best performance of her career in a way that said, I'm here, I'm ready. If this wasn't Starlight Kid's first defense of this title when she had won it at Queendom last year, I think we're having a different conversation. This is also, by the way, the longest match of her entire reign. She stepped in there with Rina, and Rina hit a home run. Rina stepped up to the plate and said, this is my time. I am ready. That whole last year, when I'm running with the future, when I'm running with the new blood, that was to get me ready for this moment. And for so many years, everyone's like, Rena's gonna be a star, gonna be a big time main event heel. She was the big baby face in this match. She played heel once in a while, but there's the hometown crowd. There's the connection to Hana, and there's just the 18-year-old that's wrestling her heart out and doing so in a way that you'll never forget. It's sensational. It's everything. It's one of the best matches of the year. It's one of the all-time great matches in Stardom's history, in Wonder of Stardom Championship history. It's one that I'll never forget. Truly. Like, it's a match that I continuously go back to. I continuously think of in the back of my mind because I'm like, man, does it get better than that? Can Rena have a match? I remember having tears in my eyes watching the match because she has the hydrangea locked in, and she goes for the tiger lily, and I remember her hitting the drop kick and going for it, going for that package pile driver aspect of it, and just it didn't come true there. But I said to myself, and I said it when I reviewed it, you can check it out. We have a check it out up about that match if you haven't seen it. I remember saying to myself, the moment she hits that Tiger Lily to win whatever championship may be, very likely Wonder Star Championship, it's going to be everything. It's going to be everything. Like I said, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Rena, you know, stayed in her element. Rena said, I'm here with this match. And if you told me that this was the height of her year, and it calmed down from there because she was just a defense, right? She was just a defense for Starlight Kid. I would have said, that's fine. She's still young, but at the same time, this performance told me Stardom's gonna keep running with her. Stardom's gonna keep going with her. Don't hesitate. Go all the way with someone who is very clearly the future and now ready to be the present of your promotion. And that's what she did. She kept on running. It was only a few weeks later that the Cinderella tournament began. The Cinderella tournament began, and she was an instant favorite. Why wouldn't she be a favorite? She's proven she's ready for this spot. She's proven this is a spot weeks before that she can have, because a potential shot at Queendom at the time felt needed. It felt necessary that Rena again rises to the top. And after that showing, why not? She goes into the first round and beats Yurihime. She goes into the second round and beats CML's Tabata. And that lands us on a very special match where Rena, on the night of the semifinal and final at Ode Award, so all in one night, she's going to go one-on-one with her older sister, Hanan, the same woman who won the Cinderella tournament last year. It's a moment, this is a match that has to happen, that needs to happen, and it's so important to happen. Hana was having another incredible run through this tournament, by the way. I don't want that to be forgotten. But I remember watching this and leading up to it, I was like, no, we got to put Rena right back into the final. Coming off that Wonder of Stardom championship match, get her right into the final and show again we're that close. Hell, I was probably even rooting for her to win it. But they have their match. They have their face off. And Rena beats Hanan in what was probably the best match or one of the best matches of this version of the Cinderella tournament. I thought it was great. And it set up a final between her and Sayaka Karara, where again, Rina just comes up short, right? She had the long, intense match with Hanan just a few hours before. And now she was stepping into this match, stepping into this face off with Sayaka Karara, someone who also is being portrayed, also being pushed by Stardom at the same time. And it's Karara who's able to overcome Rina, who can play the dominant heel, the smarky heel, right? And it's another shortcoming in very short fashion, within 2 months for Rina. And maybe some look at that as, oh, maybe you should have struck there. Maybe you should have ran with it there. It's a lot in a little time. And with that loss comes the idea of there's always next year. If she's not going to be Wonder Star champion by the end of the year, which I was hoping, Cinderella tournament instantly becomes Rina's potential turn. But shame on anyone for looking past the 5-star Grand Prix and the performance she puts in there. But the shortcoming for Rina is not one that hurts her momentum, but continues her momentum. From there, it becomes pretty quiet. It's just a lot of Stardom house matches. She does get a singles match at All Star Grand Queendom, the biggest show in Stardom history, against legend Yumika Hoda. So in many ways, they're looking to showcase her. They're looking to put her in an important match on an important show. Again, I think that's good. Do I think she should have went on this show again, coming off 2 major losses and lost? No, I don't. I think that's the one slip up really in the booking of Rena this year was that. I don't think she needed to go and face a legend and lose. I think there could have been other directions to go when it comes to that matchup and the possibilities from there. But that being said, I understand still putting her in a big singles. She wasn't lumped in with Hanako and Akira Kuragane, Azusa Nava, Fuking Death, Kyoko Kotatsu, Lady C, like all in the pre-show match that even Momo Watanabe was in, for example. No, she got a big singles match, much like Sayaka Karara did right before her. The problem is she had to take the loss. So in many ways, I think that's the first time momentum was hurt a bit for her, but she kept going, she kept pushing. Um, she was set up to become a contender for the Artists of Stardom Championship, which is part of this. But ultimately, there is a bit of a scare. At New Blood 23, she suffers the concussion against Emma Mishima that leaves her out for a number of weeks. And the possibility of her being in the 5-star Grand Prix, not being in the 5-star Grand Prix, that was all a reality that was hitting at once. But once she was in, once she was cleared, it was all set from there. And I said to myself going to that tournament, yes, I have a Rina bias. But I think based on her block that features Rian, Sayaka Kara, Natsuko Tora, Tomoki Naba, Azumi, Natsupoi, and Starlight Kid, she can have a pretty good tournament. And it's a tournament that I think Rina again reopened eyes. For those who may have not watched the Cinderella tournament, for those who maybe came in after All Star Grand Queendom, it was another opportunity for Rina to show this is mine. I'm going to be at the top here very, very soon. Rina blazes through the first 4 matches of the tournament, starting off undefeated, beating Rian, Sayaka Karara, Natsuko Tora, the leader of Hate, and Tomoka Inaba, someone who would then go on to challenge for the Wonder Stardom Championship and beat Starlight Kid in this tournament. It lined up for 3 massive matches for her to close it out. One against Azumi, which was a awesome match at Korakuen Hall that she came up short in. Won against Natsupoi, another really good match where she came up short in, and it made her in a must-win or draw scenario at the Yokohama Budokan against Starlight Kid. That big-time rematch from earlier in the year. How would she step into this match? How would she deliver in this match? Hell, I think she had the match of that show as her and Starlight Kid went to an incredible draw. A draw that locked in Rina's spot, by the way. Locked in Rena's spot in the quarterfinals of Red Stars. It would then lead to the Corkin Hall show on August 20th, where she defeat Bea Priestley, the same woman who defeated Saya Kamatani, and it would send her to the semifinal against Natsupoi, the Red Stars semifinal, where she would defeat Natsupoi. An incredible performance. Man, this run for Rina, I had her as the MVP of the entire five-star Grand Prix. 18 years old, she was the MVP. It's unbelievable how great she is already and how good she's going to continue getting. Her tournament spoke for itself. Her tournament showed any bump along the way that Hoda lost, anything like that. I'm going to keep rising to the occasion. I'm going to keep getting to the top because I'm that good. She did it with heel tactics. She did it with her own tactics. And I think that's maybe the best part about Rina that maybe isn't talked about enough. Yeah, she'll like spit in your face or, cheat a little here and there, but she rarely uses hate to get ahead. When it is her own singles matches, I think so many times Rina has shown I'm going to have my match. I'm going to show out in my match. And that brought her to the semifinal, the five-star semifinal. She is in the final four. It's her, Rina, Momo Watanabe, and Seriano. That's as good as the final to me. She made it to the final night of the five-star Grand Prix after making it to the finals of the Cinderella tournament that same year. She was a win away from making even more history. But as she stepped into the ring with Azumi, her and Azumi tore it down once more with everything on the line. I remember going into that. It's like, let's just have Rena win. Let's just have Rena win the tournament. Go and challenge Starlight Kid for the Wonder. That's what I wanted. I didn't get it. But it was okay because, again, it was Stardom putting all their belief in Rena, and I'll give Stardom all the credit in the world. My favorite thing from them this year is believing in Rena, believing in Hina. Both very different ways, right? Rena, in many ways, is a main event. Go get it. You are our future star. While Hina, in many ways, was the same, but different because it was with the future Stardom Championship. Really following in Rena's footsteps from a year ago. I expect Hina to have a major year in 2026. You'll get all my big time predictions to start off 2026. And I promise you there will be big predictions for both of them. But this match with Azumi, fantastic stuff. And she left it all out there. I thought that was the best match of the final night. I thought it was sensational. I thought it was one of the best matches of the entire tournament. What was my match of the tournament? It was either that. Let me see. Where's Rena? That was one of the best matches of the tournament. I think I had that second. I think I had that tied for second in terms of best matches from the entire five-star. Rena was the MVP for me. Just a sensational run from start to finish from someone who's just 18 years old. When we enter the Cinderella tournament next year, when we enter the five-star Grand Prix next year, she's favorite for both. That is what they've spent this year doing, saying, believe. Believe in the future, believe in our future, believe in Rena. We see the talent, we know the talent, we are going with the talent. The loss wasn't one that hurt her as she won multiple awards, including Best Bout, like Best Performance, Best Bout for Red Stars B, all these different awards. She won 4 awards for her five-star Grand Prix one. So again, another credit to her. Yes, these awards or whatever, but I think that's a big deal. And for all her performances, for what she did, just 2 weeks later, she was rewarded finally, and it brings back some history and a very emotional history for her as she, Konami, and Fukigen Death win the Artists of Stardom Championships, defeating Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and Starlight Kid. So, in a big way, getting that win over Starlight Kid. Now, that did serve for Konami and Starlight Kid rather than Rina, but it's really emotional, right? The Tokyo Cyber Squad connection there, seeing Rina get championship gold, marking Rina's first normal, if you want to say normal belt, New Blood Future, those are the future belts. Now she has her first bit of top Stardom belts, and she does so with two people that she's been connected with for so long in her career. It was a great moment. It was a needed moment, and really that's how she's been able to close out her year as Goddess of Stardom champion. Yeah, not Goddess, sorry, Artist of Stardom champion, having a successful defense against her sister as well as Momokogo and Saida. And now just kind of in a spot where, yes, we're in the midst of the Goddesses tag league. She's teaming with Konami, but the hope is she has another big spot later this year at Stardom Dream Queendom. But when we get to 2026, I have big expectations for Rina. I have major expectations for Rina because they have told me back to back years that's the only thing you should have when it comes to one half of the twins. Now it's only right that we talk about the other half, that we talk about Hina. Hina had a breakout year. I think people can say Rena's 2024 was a breakout. 2025 was just a, you know, follow up. For Hina, undeniably, this was her breakout. I think coming into 2025, no one really knew what to expect out of Hina. You know, Hina in many ways was um still just kind of figuring out, right? She had joined God's Eye, teaming with Rana Yagami, just kind of an addition to God's Eye. What's there to think about? She wasn't the one to defeat Rina for the Future of Stardom Championship, which I definitely remember being like, that was an interesting choice. Maybe they want to save that big win, right? So instead, it's for her challenging Miyu Amasaki at that same show that Rina had her major moment at Path of Thunder, right? Both Hina, Hanan, and Rina all had major title matches, major performances, and she would challenge Miyu Amasaki on February 24th at Path of Thunder. Miyu Amasaki did not have the championship for all that long. She had had it for 142 days after defeating Rina to win it. She had defended against Karara, Azusanaba, time limit draw with Hanako, and it set them up for the hometown match. I remember the Hanako one happened literally 2 weeks before. And I was like, oh, Hanako's going to win. That didn't happen. Rather, Hina got to step up. Hina got to step up in her hometown. She had a lot of big moments in her hometown this year. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But she stepped up to Miyu Amasaki, her former Queen's Quest stablemate, mind you, and she won. And this marked the start of a title reign that brought her to the mountaintop. A title reign that I think in time, again, did everything that it did for Hanan and Rina. The Future of Stardom Championship serves a great purpose. A great purpose. It gives these young wrestlers a chance to know what it's like to lead a division while not having to be in the spotlight necessarily. And if there is a spotlight, it's the new blood spotlight. So Hina winning this championship and doing so with someone she had a connection with formally was massive. It was major. It was so important to the development of Hina. She walked into the Cinderella tournament and lost in the first round of CMLS Tabata, which ultimately was to set up her first defense in April, on April 2nd at Korakuen against her. That first match, it was kind of rough. So the second time they get to show it, they have a better match. And this is where we start to see the dominance of Hina, the confidence of Hina leak out. Confidence we had never seen from Hina before, by the way. I think that's a very important part of her year. You could watch as the defenses were made, as the matches happened, Hina get more and more confident in herself, in her abilities, to the point that her sisters have been. In many ways, I think that's all we ever waited for when it came to Hina. The judo background spoke for itself. The connection to them, right? We know how talented Rina and Hanan are. Hina's shown flashes. It's just putting it all together. And that's what this reign started. So you get the first win over Tabata, right? That's a good start. Then, just a few weeks later, at All Star Grand Queendom, she puts her belt on the line against Rana Yagami, her stablemate. So, a lot of history here already, right? She beats Miyu Amasaki, her former stablemate, now facing Rana Yagami, her stablemate and tag team partner at All Star Grand Queendom 2025, the biggest show of the year, the first show on the main card. And I think they have as good of an opener as you can ask for. I love when the Future Stardom Championship is an opener. I love it. I absolutely love it because I think when it comes to being an opener, you get a lot of pressure, but you also set the bar. You set the stage for what's to come. And her and Rana did that. They had such a solid match on a show that is one of the all-time great shows of hell ever. I was gonna say of Stardom's history, of history. That's what that All Star Grand Queendom show was. And Hina got a defense on there against someone in Rani Yagami who is, of course, very meaningful to her, and it was a very exciting match. But the reign keeps on going. She then defends the belt against Rian, a match that this is where the confidence really started to pour out. It was no longer just, oh, I'm facing, Tabata beat me, so okay, that's fine. Rana's my stablemate. No. Rihanna, I'm going to, in many ways, kind of try to humble you, show you I'm here and you're here. You see this photo. This photo kind of explains where that confidence got. She started to make these great promos on the mic, started to speak with such confidence, with such knowledge and such smarts to the point where you had to listen. You had to pay attention. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love looking back at it because this reign, I feel like every time she started to defend the belt, people were like, oh, I really hope Hina doesn't lose. And I couldn't agree more. So it started the conversion 2025. She successfully defends the belt against Rian in another very solid Future of Stardom Championship match. And from there, I think this is when people really started to talk about it. It didn't take long for her to defend it again. Just a few weeks later, she then defended the belt against Akira Kuragane at Korakuen Hall, and she defeat her as well. And that's when I think the first maybe scary challenge came up. It was Sayaka Karara, the Cinderella winner. And this is where the the time spent for Hina this year really showcased itself, right? Sayaka Karara is someone that had the better of her sister Rina earlier in the year in the Cinderella tournament final. Sayaka Karara is someone who everyone could tell Stardom's very behind. Well, guess who Stardom's just as behind? That was Hina. And you see the look on her face again. I can't say it enough. There was so much charisma leaping out of Hina that we had never seen really before this year. Charisma that is a silent charisma, one that she doesn't need to be all pomp and circumstance. She can be kind of like that Momo Watanabe Queen's Quest leader, silent killer type. And it was the perfect fit for her. It was the perfect fit for her. It was one that we saw her utilize in the matches, in the lead ups, in the builds, in the promos, and in this match specifically. This match was really good. And again, this was at Sapporo Rendezvous 2025, a show that they have shown us in the past can be a moment of change. It was also, mind you, I think this is very important, a match that jumps off the page to me in terms of another opener, another chance for Hina to step up and set the tone for the rest of the show. At Sapporo Rendezvous, Hina showed out. Hina defeated Sayaka Karara, and it all led to the ultimate challenge from there. First off, you go into the 5-star Grand Prix, right? The 5-star Grand Prix was a big one for her. She has an incredible match with Sari in her hometown, the same hometown spot that she won the championship earlier this year. She beats Konami at Corkin Hall. Massive win considering the fact that Konami is now your Wonder Stardom Championship champion. She loses to Rana Yagami. She defeats eventual winner, mind you, Momo Watanabe. She loses to Momo Kogo, and then she defeats Hanako on the final night. Her major wins come against Konami and Momo Watanabe. Again, this 5-star Grand Prix both for both twins was major in so many ways. For Hina, she's beating Konami, she's beating Momo Watanabe. I feel like that Momo Watanabe win, by the way, is very overlooked. Um, but in ways that are so important and so worth talking about. Because of that Rana Yagami match, she will defend, or she does defend, the championship against Rana one more time at the 5-star Grand Prix final and successfully defends once again. This is where you, again, you're watching the title reign add up. You're watching the defenses add up. The Rana one ended up being the 6th successful defense in her reign. She would go on to defend just a little while later against Yuria Hime, who, of course, had a nice little tournament herself on September 10th. Another defense in Cork and Hall, another opportunity to shine against someone who has a lot less experience than her and lift her up. That's what she did on all these matches. She lifted up Hime, she lifted up Rana, she lifted up Carrara, she lifted up Akira, lifted up Rihanna. And I think that's something that her sisters did, and now she's doing. It would set up for the final championship match of her reign, where she lose the belt to Hanako on September 27th, 2025. It was an awesome match, one of the best of Hanako's career, and the perfect end note on Hina's incredible reign as champion. This was a show that was aired for free on YouTube, by the way. So the world got to see Hina in the big championship match defend against Hanako in the semi-main to what was ultimately Saya Kamatani versus Azumi for the World and New Japan Strong Championships. You look back at what Hina did as Future of Stardom Championship, and it sets the tone for what should be the biggest year of her career in 2026. I like to follow what Hanan did. I like to follow what Rina did, right? Rina used the Future Stardom Championship to launch into what she did this year. Hina next year, I'll tell you an early prediction for me. Hina will challenge for the Wonder Stardom Championship in 2026. That's a guarantee to me. She has to, because there's a real chance Hanan's the champion. Also, she beat Momo Watanabe, who won the 5-star Grand Prix. She beat Sayaka Kurara, who won the Cinderella tournament. She beat both tournament winners in major matches throughout the year. It's the start. The loss of the Future of Stardom Championship isn't a bad thing. It's just an opening. It's the beginning of so much more for her. She's been wrestling with Rana Yagami in the Goddesses of Stardom tournament. They're not getting major wins, but they are having solid matches throughout. I believe they're up to 6 points as of this recording. So they haven't been rolled over, which I think is important for them. And they're forming a good tag team. Maybe they'll, have some sort of tag match here in the future. But ultimately, what we've seen with these two is growth, is development and ultimately the punch in the face that it's their time now. I said it at the very top, and I'll say it again. The best thing Stardom has done in the year 2025 is put Rina and Hina the on the level to succeed and succeed with multiple opportunities and to succeed in big ways that tell you this is the future of our company. The three sisters are the future. They are the present as well, but they are undeniably the future. And I can't wait for that. The reason we do this Future of Joshi series here is to highlight the future, but also showcase what is coming. And Stardom has done that better than with anyone else, I think, in their roster. Like these two have been the beneficiaries not named Saya Kamatani. You know, I think so for so much of 2025, everyone's like, well, who's number two? I don't know if Hina and Rina are number two after Saya Kamatani. But the way they've put focus, the way they've put care into both of them, they're the two, you know, biggest growers after Kamatani in terms of popularity, in terms of excitement, in terms of believability, in terms of so much. They're the two wrestlers I look forward to most on Stardom shows these days, and they're two wrestlers who are going to wrestle for the World of Stardom Championship against one another very, very soon. Sooner than maybe anyone thinks. Hell, the Wonder of Stardom Championship even sooner. I think these two have all the potential in the world to hold those top championships, and I think this year has told you that Stardom sees that as well. I love talking about the breakout twins of Stardom because many, like I said, many could say Rina's breakout was 2024, but they doubled down in 2025. And in 2025, they said, Hina, here's the ball, run with it. And that's exactly what she did. There's so much to say of giving people opportunities. I think, listen, I think there are other people you could definitely critique Stardom on and not maybe giving opportunities to run or not giving them the opportunities to have great matches and have moments like these two have had. But for the wrestlers that Stardom have given the opportunities to, Rina and Hina, they've done everything they can and more. It's been such an amazing, amazing year to follow if you're fans of these two like I am. And it's so amazing to think this is just the beginning. They're 18 years old. It's just the beginning for Rina. It's just the beginning for Hina. I think by the end of 2026, Rina should be your World of Stardom champion. True, not world, Wonder of Stardom champion. I give her the world. No, I think she should be the Wonder of Stardom champion. I said by the end of 2025 after the Starlight Kid match. I'm not getting that, which is fine. I can live with that. I'm not making it further than the end of 2026. It's her time. And her and Hina need to be facing off for those belts. Her and Hina need to be colliding for those belts. And that includes Hanan. Hanan, if the pathway for the Wonder of Stardom Championship goes Konami, Hanan, Rina, and maybe even Hina, oh, that's pretty awesome. There's other people, obviously, not just the three sisters, that should hold that belt. But I could see that as a possibility. That's the type of history, the type of wow, really push those three. That isn't out of the question. So for those who are counting, that was a 5-star semifinalist in Rina, a Cinderella tournament finalist in Rina, a fantastic Wonder of Stardom championship in the challenge in Rina, and then for Hina, it was an incredible run with the Future of Stardom Championship, 215 days, but she managed to defend the belt successfully 7 times and just establish herself as one of the top future stars in all of Joshi and all of wrestling. Hopefully you enjoyed this Future Joshi video. I love doing these videos. If you haven't checked it out, go check out our Joshi Weekly double review, double feature that we had last week reviewing the Sendai Girls. show between Sarii and Chihiro Hashimoto, as well as the Marigold Cork and Mikuano versus Chikagoto main evented that show. Also, check out the latest or the second Future of Joshi, as we talked about Victoria Yuzuki on the second anniversary of her debut. And we also had the first ever Joshi showcase looking at Chihiro Hashimoto's career. So if you haven't seen those, please go out of your way to do so. And hopefully you enjoyed the latest Future of Joshi, diving into the years of Rina and Hina and why they are the breakout twins of Stardom, the best stories of Stardom, I think, in 2025, and the two wrestlers heading into 2026 you should be most excited about in the World Wonder Ring. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back over the weekend with a Stardom tag team, uh, Goddess of Stardom final review of some sort. We'll review both days, how it all goes, and we'll look forward to whoever's challenging and so on and so forth. I've done my best to follow it, but I'll be locked in the last couple days. We'll have a review for that. And we have so much coming up in December, so much coming up in January. So if you haven't before, please press that subscribe button. Please press a like on the video and leave a comment. What are your thoughts on Rina and Hina this year? How excited are you for the potential of both of them? And what are your favorite matches from both of them this year? Let us all know below. I appreciate every comment. I promise I'm reading the comments. I just haven't been able to get back to reply to them. Life's busy, but I'm happy to keep turning out the content. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed it. I love talking about the future of Joshi because it's so bright, it's so exciting, and it's what makes the future of Joshi brighter than any other future in professional wrestling. So with that being said, thank you for listening. This was Rina and Hina, the breakout twins of Stardom. Until next time, so long. See you later.